Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour 2 for the MSEM format. So this is basically the season finisher event for our second season. So what happened is the players who each got the best placings in this season, the top 8 players were invited to play in a special double elimination bracket. The only difference from our regular GP tournaments, other than the fact that it's an invite-only tournament, is that sideboards could not be made after deck lists were released, so sideboards were made blind. So the specific match we're watching today is the winners round one match between Pipsqueak, who is on red-white Ninhasir, and FifthDragon, who is on Jund. So Fifth's biggest hope here is to land a Jejun. Having lifelink versus Pip's deck is extremely strong, and Pip has nothing, I believe, that can kill Jejun, other than probably flipped Ninhasir plus a bit of burn. Warfield also is good because it presents a clock, and it can exile Unceasing Flames from Pip's graveyard. It can also exile Rogs so that Pip can't create tokens off of them. But yeah, Pip has a removal because if Pip had let Fifth untap with Warfield, it could have gotten +1/+1 from attacking, and then at that point it's immune to any of Pip's burn. And Pip would need to spend 2 cards on it, which really isn't what you want to be doing. Okay, so moving to end means either that Pip's hand is probably means that Pip has Rogs, or that Pip has Ninhasir and a few lands, plus another burn sorcery speed burn spell. So Fifth mostly taps out for Wealth of the Underbrush. What this card does is it puts the top 5 cards of your graveyard library into your graveyard, then you can return a permanent from them to your hand. So relevant hits here are Unmasker, Zetla, and Mukif. Fifth might just return Unmasker and then cast it, since that's the only thing that Fifth has the mana to cast this turn. Oh no, okay, Fifth is grabbing back Warfield Excavator. Oh, okay, and this Fifth already has Stolen Secrets. And Fifth trying to hit Fifth already knew Pip's hand from before. We didn't. But so that was Mena Al-Majid, land, and then a Shaldran's Frenzy. So Mena Al-Majid is good here as basically just card advantage. Actually, you basically keep +1ing her in order to have cards to play. And Pip is just going to play a land from among them because she's tapped out. And yeah, Pip is in a dicey position with Fifth being on 5 cards in hand. Though if Fifth keeps shocking himself with these shock fetches, then she could potentially steal the game out of nowhere with some good hits off Mena. Being able to basically draw 2 each turn is very strong, but Fifth has the Obliterating Blast. So Pip is down to land and Shaldran's Rage in hand. And Pip will probably, unless Pip hits a good top deck here, Pip will likely have to just tapping out for Shaldran's Rage. Yeah, so Shaldran's Rage kicked to kill Warfield, but so now both players are down to the same number of cards in hand. But Fifth, depending on what Fifth has in hand, this could be dicey for Pip. Okay, so another Grim Bastion. I don't know if I agree with playing these shock fetches so aggressively, unless Fifth has like a 3-drop and a 2-drop here, like in hand. Because like sure it's deck thinning, but versus Pip, keeping your life totals high, especially when you don't have a reason for the land, like especially when you don't have something that you're casting with the land, is a problem. Yeah, I think like what Fifth could have done is like wealth of the if I guess unless Fifth is already planning on, okay, I'm going to return Mokeef no matter what I hit, which might have been Fifth's plan. But yeah, I think Fifth maybe should have just waited to see if. Yeah, okay, so bringing back Mokeef. Oh, Onyx Ritualist. Okay, interesting. So I don't know if this is the right play because Onyx Ritualist dies very easily to burn, and then like Fifth has Mokeef, but Mokeef even in conjunction with the creatures, like I think Mokeef, like when Pip is tapped out, Mokeef in like bringing back Mokeef, like I don't even know if they're getting back Mokeef off of like um that Wealthy Underbrush was the right call. Because I guess if Pip had top decked like a burn spell here, that would have been really bad. I guess Fifth does untap here and then potentially swing for like Fifth does potentially swing for 6 here. But if Pip has like Rog's Frenzy, then that can be like really damning. I mean, Pip does have good top decks, but that's also why Fifth wants a threat that's resilient to them rather than trying to close the game out extremely quickly. Especially when last turn doing so, it cost Fifth another 2 life, which puts him more in burn range. So Mokeef and then +1 on Onyx, or -2 to bring back Warfield, or -1 to bring back Unmasker. Given how aggressively Fifth has been like casting, I'd assume +1 +1 Mokeef, so for the potential swing for 6 this turn. Fifth seems to be thinking about something, I'm not sure. Maybe calculating the chance that, okay, no, -1ing Mokeef, so bringing back Unmasker. Probably a safer choice, just in case Pip has removal. And no, Pip has Ozin. Yeah, this is painful. Because, so now Pip is going to take 5. Next turn has to tap out if Pip wants a chance of casting Ozin. And even then, Ozin is just not good in this scenario because whatever you O-ring with Ozin, like Pip won't be able to. Like Ozin will die the next turn. So it's very possible that if Pip doesn't top deck burn, because if Pip top decks burn, then and we know Pip has a land in hand. So if Pip top decks like a burn spell, then it can kill. Ooh, Civ's cost is gonna hurt. That's gonna be 4 damage. Yeah. Yeah, Civilization's cost is each player. So again, that puts Fifth in the range of 3 burn spell. Yeah, I think if Pip top decks a burn spell here, Pip hits Mokeef, or yeah, probably Pip. Yeah, I don't know which one Pip would kill. Because I think getting in the case that Fifth does top deck Obliterating Blast and kills Ozin, at these life totals, I guess Pip would probably want to kill Onyx Ritualist and let Fifth have Mokeef, because could get potentially dicey. Okay, that's Pip's out. Drawing into 1 mana burn, and then casting both Ozen and that 1 mana burn. Currently, there appears to be a rules dispute because Fifth wants to roll back now that he knows that he also takes damage from Civilization's cost, but the players are unsure of whether that constitutes additional information or not, because Pip had to inform Fifth that he also takes damage. Okay, so Windy, who's the head judge for most events, is ruling this as gaining new information. So Fifth will not be able to rewind and will take 3 damage from the Civilization's cost. Which could be relevant in the long run, but so far, Fifth does have pretty strong control over this game right now. But yeah, playing Civilization's cost in a 3-color deck, definitely an issue, especially when you're playing against Burn. I imagine that's going to be one of the first things cited out in Game 2. Okay, so we're continuing to play. Yeah, not sure why Pip didn't crack. Or no, has Pip drawn yet for turn? No, Pip is not drawn yet for turn. That was upkeep. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, drawing for turn. Okay, so Pip is at 9 life, which means tapping 3 for Ozen. Yeah, okay. Pip's gonna take 2 life here. Okay, still steal Onyx Ritualist, and I'm assuming Pip is doing this because they have the no, Pip doesn't have the burn from O'Keefe.
They have to steal the Ritualist if they steal McKeith. Just untaps, swings with the Ritualist, and kills Ozen and gets McKeith back.
No, but Fifth can still do that. Fifth can bring back Warfield Excavator and kill Ozen. So without 1 mana burn, Pip didn't have a way to keep, without burn in general, Pip didn't have a way to keep Ozen from dying. Yeah, so Ozen's gonna die. Oh no. Okay. Pip's
right, but the
Fifth's going for face.
Denies the Ritualist for the turn, whereas if she'd taken Mukeef instead, that doesn't do anything. Because Mukeef can still activate that turn.
You're right, but I almost feel like waiting a turn to see if Burn is top decked. I guess I'm not sure that I guess does Civ's cost? Yeah, Civ's cost does just end the game here. So game 1 goes to Fifth. Let's look at the sideboards here. So Leisha's Greenblade, probably not. I guess it's useful versus the Overclock and Ninhasir, but then most of Pip's deck is just burn and then some Planeswalker. So I don't think Leisha's Greenblade is going to be coming in, especially because it also dies to burn. Fading Dead, Pip doesn't really have any relevant creatures other than Rogue's tokens, which aren't a problem. Snowfield, I think Snowmom is a definite shoo-in because gaining life is huge. 4 toughness is very big because that means it requires 2 burn spells to kill. Seal the Tomb could maybe put Pip off some stuff. I'm pretty sure it's not for this matchup, so I don't know if it'll come in. I think Snowmom in for Civ's cost is, I think, how how Fifth is going to sideboard. Anything else, I think, will come down to how Fifth reads this matchup, and I don't think there'll be anything else there. Then on Pip's side, so Titan Snare doesn't really hit anything in this matchup. Noble's Hedonism, I don't know that this is a matchup in which Pip can leverage Noble's Hedonism well, especially given Fifth's low curve and ability to hit lifelink, or not lifelink, but ability to hit good life gain spells. Like, I think, yeah, I don't think that Noble's Hedonism is how Pip wants to play this matchup, but I could be wrong. Another Ozin, Fifth does have enough attackers, and Ozin is a little bit slow, is like a little slow enough that I don't know that. And like, I guess another Ozin might come in to have additional angles to deal with Villainy and Snowmom. That's how I can see Ozin coming in for that. Sigil is really good here because it cuts off Wealth of the Underbrush. It also cuts off Mukeef. Warfield, Excavator, and Reprising Bard get dunked on by it. So I think Ozin and Sigil are definitely coming in. Oblast, I could also see Oblast coming in for something. Yeah, okay, so I'm not sure on what the numbers will be, but I think Ozin, Sigil, Soulgate, and Oblast are all cards which have chances of coming in here. Maybe Shaldron's Rage might come out, like 2 of them might come out. I think it's good when Fifth starts to build up a board, but I don't think it's something that's needed as a 4 of it. Like, Fifth is aggressive, but not aggressive enough to need 4 of in the main, is my feeling. So yeah, that's how I think sideboarding will go. Oh, so game 2's already started with Pip starting turn 1 by playing a tapped Shock Fetch, and then Fifth starting out with turn 1 Unmasker. So Pip had a hand of all lands, Overclock, and Ninhasir's March. So, and yeah, Pip's justifying it by saying, hey, getting to Scry 3 when Ninhasir's March comes down is a good play, but not with Fifth having hand attack. Okay, turn to Warfield, or this is Wealth of the Underbrush mana as well, but I think given, like, now that you know if Fifth does have Warfield, I think this is the time to play it. Because you know that unless Pip top decked it, Pip doesn't have any burn. And so getting a board here and forcing Pip to draw, or to top deck burn multiple turns in a row to be able to stop your aggression is a good play. Yeah, okay, I think Warfield is probably coming back here. I guess Mukeef, if Fifth has a land, bring back Mukeef, cast Mukeef next turn, and then Mukeef acts as, it adds, like, makes this Unmasker basically like a 5-power creature. It can also bring back Warfield in a pinch. End step, Pip is getting back Ninhasir's March, presumably going to cast it this turn and kill the Unmasker. Yep. Tapping out for Onyx Ritualist. Okay. The same fake out that happened in game 1. So that Scry 3 probably means that Pip got burn here. And yeah, Pip did side an Obliterating Blast. Taps 2. Oh, and Performer of Desire. Okay, this is really good. Because unless Fifth has an answer for this, Pip just untaps, flips Pyrus next turn, and that's and then that swings for 6, is indestructible, so can't really be killed by any of Fifth's removal. And Pip can cast Overclock off the remaining mana. Or if can just, I guess, play a land, flip, or actually, yeah, and then like play a land, flip Ninhasir off that mana. And if Fifth doesn't play a red land here, then Pip is completely comfortable doing that line. Okay, so Fifth played a Shock Fetch. That is a red land. Okay, tapping out for Villainy though. So yeah, now Pip is completely fine because Fifth has no black mana open and no instant speed 1 black spells. Oh, flipping? No, yeah, no, don't. I think that would be a bad play, flipping Ninhasir here, because Fifth has no ways to trigger villainy in response to kill Performer, so you flip Performer and then use the mana from Performer to flip Ninhasir. Yeah, so yeah, Fifth says it himself. He doesn't have any responses with only green. Pip swings out for 6. Main 2, flip Ninhasir. So now Pip has 2 indestructible threats, neither of which Fifth has an answer for. One of which is evasive, so Fifth doesn't have a blocker for it, like can't have consistent blockers for it. This game is pretty over. And also, interestingly, Pip did bring in Noble's Hedonism. I wonder what the sideboarding looked like there. But yeah, Fifth saying now I draw it probably means that Fifth just drew into a Obliterating Blast. And Pip does have 5 fealty because Cajun is asking in chat. Because fealty is a mechanic which basically says how many of this land type you control. Spiraling Canyon is a dual type land. So yeah, I don't think Fifth has any outs here. Let's look at Fifth's deck list real quick. So yeah, Fifth does have Memento Mori. So Memento Mori can cause Pip to sacrifice one of these. If Fifth has double Memento Mori, if Fifth has double Memento Mori here, that puts him in a really good position because then he can double shock, and then he gains.
No, it doesn't. It only has 3 black sources.
He does only have 3 black sources. My bad. So, but yeah, even disregarding Pip's full clutch here, Pip can kill Fifth if Fifth doesn't have a Memento Mori here. I think Fifth is deciding whether or not to scoop. Or maybe just playing some black spells to gain life in hopes of staying alive. I'm assuming that was a concession. So, how much damage does Pip have on board? So they have 9 plus 5, 14. Yeah, and so Pip is right here because Fifth is missing the 1 floating land. But yeah, Fifth seems to be thinking an awful lot for a person with no outs. So I'm assuming Fifth either has Memento, Fifth has Memento Mori and is probably planning to cast Memento Mori, but then why would Fifth be asking about how much damage he's going to take here? That doesn't make any sense because then that's assuming that the board state is going to stay the same. So does Fifth have so Fifth probably has Fifth probably has Stolen Secrets or Wealth of the Underbrush and is hoping to only one of them and is hoping to just cast one has 2 of them and was hoping to cast it and stay alive. Yeah, okay, so Wealth of the Underbrush, Shock Face, and then Fifth gains 2 and goes up to 13. And then Fifth needs Stolen Secrets or another Wealth. Or Memento, but then I'm assuming since Fifth is calculating how much damage he's going to take next turn, given that Pip keeps both creatures, he doesn't have it. Okay, Mills Zetla. Oh, so Fifth did bring in Elijah's Greenblade to deal with Ninhasir before it flips and overclock. Interesting. So not sure what would help best in this situation. Onyx Ritualist, perhaps, to be able to have a consistent blocker for Pyrus. Assuming that Fifth draws into Memento Mori next turn, Fifth can cast Onyx Ritualist plus Memento Mori and then have a blocker for Pyrus if Pip decides to keep Pyrus. Yeah, so that did the game is over. That so Pip wins game 2, and we're going to game 3. So it just goes to show how explosive Ninhasir can be. Yeah, Fifth is bemoaning his unlucky draws. And yeah, that is a problem in that like you need to have like the deck doesn't have good disruption for Pip's deck after things already happen. It's a very like proactive deck. So drawing into like Lejas after Nasir flips, or like Oblast after Pyrus flips, both of which are bad prospects. So Fifth is sideboarding some more. Sideboarded 5 cards in. Not sure what they were. What could Fifth be bringing in here? Maybe like Seal the Tomb with Hand Attack? And then I hope Fifth brought in Snow Mom, because Snow Mom is very good in this matchup. But if not, maybe bringing in Snow Mom now. Okay, going into game 3. Both players have drawn their initial hands, but haven't said if they're keeping yet. Okay, Fifth is going to be keeping his grip. Pip's still thinking. Okay, both of the players are keeping at 7. Okay, so turn 1 Mountain into pass for Fifth is not where Fifth wants to be in this matchup, presumably. Fifth always wants to have black into disruption. So I guess ironically, despite both players having like reasonably fast clocks, Fifth in the form of like low to the ground, aggressively oriented creatures coupled with Mukeef, and Pip having a lot of burn combined with Pyrus and Ninhasir to like just slam and end games. They're playing pretty conservatively / slow right now. Tapping out for Zetla? Okay, yeah, Zetla. Mainly because I think playing over aggressively / expending resources early can backfire depending on what your opponent plays. Like if Pip had gone turn 1 untap land and then burn spell at face, Pip would have less Oh, Fifth is going the random discard. Usually people use Zetla as a delayed target opponent discards 3 and loses 3 life. But I guess Fifth was trying to hit some high impact targets from Pip's hand. Only got a Storm Surge though, which while it is live, it's not like a land. It isn't a Pyrus or it isn't a Ninhasir. Okay, so Fifth now has all 3 colors and going to end. Not even cracking the Zetla. Interesting. And Pip is alt. They're making this look like a Drago control match right now. But yeah, Fifth's only instant speed thing is Obliterating Blast, I think. Okay, so on end step. Okay, or is this a sorcery, right? So this is on Fifth's turn. Yeah, so on Fifth's turn, playing Wealthy Underbrush. Villainy seems ambitious given this mana, so probably Warfield Excavator. Oh, Nomad. Okay, interesting. Nomad's Township. Not
Suggest holding either a Villainy or a Memento and wants more black mana to play it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And still has mana for Obliterating Blast to kill Pyrus up. Tapping out for Overclock. Okay. Cyber, do you have any idea why Fifth hasn't cracked this Zetla yet?
So my guess is that he thinks that Pip is holding spare lands that she doesn't need, and so he's waiting for either for her to get fewer cards in hand, or hoping she'll waste a burn spell on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
but
so
I don't know. That's just a guess.
fair. So Leisha's green blade comes down, kills Overclock, and then Fifth cracks Zetla, and discarding another Storm Surge. I guess maybe, I guess Fifth cracking it there was maybe like, hey, and now you have to make choices about what lands you want to keep. So Pip untaps land, plays Mana Al Majid, and then top decks Rogs off mana to kill Leisha Greenblade. Which puts Pip in a really good position here. Fifth does have 6 cards in hand, though. Okay, so tapping. Okay, so Obliterating Blast on mana. And then just going to end. Okay. So feels like Fifth has Villainy and a clutch of like black cards. Okay, so Pip Unceasing Flames on face, which probably not sure about that one, but okay. Okay, tapping 2 for Noble's Hedonism. Okay, that explains the Unceasing Flames play.
Wait, I don't follow. How does that explain the Unceasing Flames play?
I'd assume that like Pip had like more high impact cards in hand to play, one of which would be like Ninhasir or something, and then you'd want to like save up burn for you'd want to save up burn for when you had like a critical mass. But with Noble Titanism, you're kind of just going on, I'm going to draw a bunch of cards and I'm hoping all of them will be burned, and then I'm just going to kill you. It's a much like faster plan than just like I'm going to keep drawing it each turn. But yeah, Leisha Greenblade on the Noble Titanism means that's not great, and Pip is down to 2 cards in hand. Yeah, this is not a good position. Okay. But Pip has another Unceasing Flames, kills the Mukeef. Pip has 2 cards in hand. Probably one of them is Pyrus. Or like, so tapping out, so Fifth taps out for Snow Mom, gains 4 life, and this is a stronger play. Do note that Unceasing Flames will now kill a Snow Mom. But yeah, I wonder, like, whatever's in Pip's hand must be something that, like, they're afraid that Fifth has a removal for. Or it's just more lands, in which case that sucks. Yeah, Pip is not playing anything. And then tapping 3 for another Mukeef. Okay, plus wanting it to make Snow Mom a 6/4. So this does 7 damage. Yep, so on end step, Pip creates Rocks tokens. Maybe should have done that earlier to block, but I don't know. Like, taking 6 there really hurt, and it puts Pip in like an untenable position. So yeah, I get the feeling that Pip's hand must just be all lands. And Pip's swinging at Mukeef? Okay, so Pip has Scorch or something to kill Mukeef now. Yeah, Scorch to kill Mukeef. Still taking 4 next turn. And Fifth has 5 cards in hand. Okay, plays a Shock Fetch. Is playing it tapped? Fifth might be thinking about whether or not to play it tapped because Fifth hasn't proceeded from there. Okay, so Fifth is just going to tap and swing for 4. Oh, so Fifth had another Snow Mom? So, yeah, okay, so Pip grabs one of the bears with Ozin. If Fifth has Mukeef, then Fifth can get through this and kill Ozin. Otherwise, Pip can double block with the Rocks tokens, and then I guess steal the other Snowmom, and then hopefully kill the Bear tokens with Burn. Still not a good position for Pip, but Stolen Secrets naming instant? Okay, yeah. Pip is probably planning to cast this in response, or like, it's probably just gonna, okay, tapping to Rog's Frenzy. Oh, Obliterating Blast. So now Fifth can't attack with Snowmom unless he wants to lose it. Let's see what Pip's last card in hand is. So Fifth is naming Sorcery, and that grabs Storm Surge. So Pip is empty-handed but has decent. Oh, okay. So Memento Mori to sack a Rog's token. It's the funniest play. And yeah, that's it. So Fifth wins the set 2-1 over Pip. Pip still has loser's bracket, so it's not the end of the world. Next up, let's look at the bracket to see who Fifth is playing next. So Fifth is going to be playing the winner of Hersey, who is on Blue-White Weaving, and CFT Sock, who is on Obzon Enchantment combo. Let's see if we can get either one of them into chat for an interview. Hey, Pip.
Yep.
So I guess first things first, same question I always ask. What are your impressions on the matchup before going into it, and then how did it play out compared to that?
I felt pretty solidly favored. I thought that just doing the burn deck thing would be enough to steal me a game or two, and two pretty accurately showed how I expected that to play out.
Mm-hmm.
Game one, I kept a relatively reasonable hand, but between having my walker sniped with two different types of answers, like the Stolen Secrets and then the Obliterating Blast, I lost a lot of my plan and then proceeded to draw like 6 lands. So
yeah,
I didn't get to do the thing. And game 3 was pretty close. Snowmom put in a lot of work, unsurprisingly. I drew the one
sideboard copies of Snowmom was pretty strong.
Yeah, I draw the one Azun that I didn't sideboard out, and it was as bad as I thought it was. But like the other options were bringing in like a dispersive volley or something, which felt weak. So yeah, I mean, I felt favored going into the match, but unfortunately, just the draw did not represent that.
So this means that I won the Pro Tour, right?
Yep, that's it. That's the whole Pro Tour.
Whew. Some tight games, some good plays, but yeah.
That's the Pro Tour.
Congratulations to the winner of Pro Tour Season 2, FifthDragon.
Thank you. So I get to champion a format now, right?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so
you get to champion your entire deck.
No, I'm going to champion tiny leaders and make it so that the next 4 tournaments, the GPs are going to be tiny leader format, with the additional stipulation that basic islands are banned. You can still play blue, you just have to play all non-basics.
So Tiny Leaders is exiled until you leave the battlefield, so no one can play Tiny Leaders until you quit MSEM? Is that how this works?
No, it's the tournaments are exclusively in Tiny Leader format for the next 4 tournaments.
Seems brutal.
I think the format will adapt.
Tiny Leaders is like Commander, but decks are smaller and you only have CMC 3 or less.
Yeah, Commanders with CMC 3.
Commanders. Or exit in their convert mana cost.
Yeah. Yeah, Fifth. So, how did you expect the matchup to go before you played it out? And then, How did it go compared to that expectation?
I went into the match not knowing that deck lists were public, and so I opened with Stolen Secrets and went, huh, interesting. And then Pip played Burn on my face, which was a pretty clear indication of what his deck was trying to do, or her deck was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I definitely would have lost that first game if Pip just went face.
Like,
Like,
ignored your creatures and everything?
Yeah, I think you had enough burn that you could have just done that because you kept removing my threats, and I don't think my threats were fast enough. Even if I hadn't, like, ignoring the civilizations cost, I think just like going full aggro on me there would have been way too fast for me.
I think if you hadn't civilization costed yourself, I did not have enough burn that game. Like, if I totaled up all the burn spells I cast, it was not 20. It was not even like 15.
No. Feels like more when you're on the receiving end.
Yeah, I believe that.
And Honest Rituals plus Mukeef just each present a dangerous clock in their own way. Warfield isn't bad on it.
Yeah, I was
just bolting, doing the effective thing of bolting plus each turn is still really strong. And like with stuff like Warfield, like if Pip doesn't remove it like now, even if Pip has like the face burn, it just grows bigger. And then if it becomes a problem later, Pip can't really deal with it.
Yeah, with Excavator, it gets out of range of burn if it attacks once, which is very disappointing that they never were able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, given that my deck contains like 16-ish 3 damage burn spells, Excavator getting to swing means I've made a very large mistake at some point.
I think it honestly was just about timing in both or all 3 games. I think if you had some sort of enchantment threat the first game at any point in time, I was probably dead. The costs were literally just me speeding up the game. If you had been any more on your front foot, I would not have been able to cast those at all.
Yeah, and I think the answers you drew game 3 lined up very well into the threats I drew.
I had an opening hand with 2 Snowfield Mothers, and I was like, oh, this is a keep.
Yeah. And then having answers to both the Overclock and the Noble's Hedonism was huge.
Yeah, I definitely, that Mukeef off the Hedonism just felt, it was excellent. I didn't have any answer to it, and I was like, alright, well, at least I'm getting cards too. And then I was like, oh, hey, look. I also, in game 2, made the critical mistake of forgetting that March is a CMC3 enchantment on the front half. Because I was like, I can't board these in. Overclock is 4 mana. And so game 2, I just didn't have it.
Impressive. Yeah. Those are good versus both Noble's Hedonism and Ninhasir's March.
Yeah, I wasn't respecting Hedonism as much just because it wasn't a clock, it was just card advantage, and I felt like I could go toe-to-toe if I was getting the same amount of card advantage with it.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I don't know. I feel like my deck is inordinately mid-range, and I am going to tune it to be more mid-range than disruptive, because right now, or not disruptive, but like aggressive, I think the Unmaskers are coming out, just because the tempo hit of 2 mana is not relevant enough, and having them on 1, I would rather cast some sort of duress on turn 1, because the games that I won, I felt like I was winning because I traded 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, and then just had the bigger things. Because you had burn, but I had creatures.
I think the proper way to look at Unmasker is it usually is 3 damage and costs your opponent 2 mana. And for 1 mana, that's a really good deal. But it's possible. I mean, I think you kind of need Unmasker to beat a lot of the like more controlling or combo-y decks in the format, just because it's so ridiculous if you repeat it with, Mukeef or something.
But I think I
Maybe
almost feel
not.
like Mukeef should be a 4 of, because I think like everything in your deck is like centered around Mukeef functioning almost. I don't know if that's just me, but like just
No,
everything
it's
goes so well with
definitely
Mukeef.
a very good role player, but I feel like I would rather draw the creatures first and then have Mukeef as a backup. And if I draw one of them, I'm happy. But I would rather draw more creatures and one walker than a bunch of walkers and like
Fair, but then when you have
a
like
couple
Zetla as a
creatures.
4 of, I'm like, I think Mukeef
Well,
can stand to
Zetla's
be a
just
4 of instead.
a guaranteed 2-for-1 basically. So I just drop it, make them discard, and then they either answer it or they drop another or I get to drop another discard, and it's just more of a like I don't know. I like it as a tool to burn my opponent's resources before I start dropping more important creatures like excavators or ritualists.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about villainy in here. So I think in the GP list you have Jejin instead as your like life gain / stabilization tool of choice. So what was its
Yes.
addition in this meta specifically?
I felt that hitting 4 black was a lot harder than hitting 3 black, and also 4 black and a creature.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice to have 6 life a turn, but I felt like it was too far away as a stabilization tool. And villainy was both easier to get, or earlier to put down, and I felt like was more long term because it's a little bit. I know everyone has answers to enchantments at this point with natural state and the whatever the white enchantment removal is, but like I feel like it's enough life gain to match Jejin getting in once or twice if I can keep it going, and also the card advantage is nice, and it's just I think easier to work with than trying to keep a creature alive and hitting 4 black while also hitting my other 2 colors.
Mm-hmm.
The Wendigo felt like he did not perform in the other matches, even when I got him down. Admittedly, I only got him down once in the actual tournament, and then it didn't really matter because the Phoenix is indestructible. So,
Mm-hmm.
and also flying.
Yeah.
I know. I definitely think that it's good, but I don't get to 6 mana enough to hardcast it, and 4 black is hard enough when I have 2 other colors I'm trying to hit. Especially if I'm boarding in Snowfield Mothers as sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to hit double green as well. And usually hitting double green requires at least 1 green basic, either off of Wayfarers or mulliganing and hitting my forest. So.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I should
I don't
ask
know.
this because it's because this is the first like closed tournament we've had in a while, or since the last Pro Tour. But like, what made each of you choose to submit the deck list that you did, or like what meta were you predicting? Starting with Pip, and then we'll go to Fifth.
So, I sat down with Cyber and we predicted what everyone was going to be on for the Pro Tour. And we wrote down the decks that we thought, the 2 to 3 decks we thought people were most likely on, and then we tried to figure out what the best thing we had to fight that meta was. Neither of us wanted to be on Anarchist decks, so we just prepared decks that were good against Anarchist decks, since we figured somewhere on the order of 2 to 3 people would be playing them. We got pretty much entirely accurate for everyone except Fifth. We guessed Fifth would be on either Ninjas or Villainy, and this deck isn't really either of those. So my prediction was Ninjas hammers its life total a bunch, so if I bolt it like 3 times, that match is pretty much a buy. And I was very confident with my ability to outgrind Red-Black Villainy.
Yeah. That seems very correct. If you want to know what meta I was preparing for, you can look at my deck name. For anyone listening, my deck name is What Meta? Just jump them out. And yeah, it's basically just my current hyperfixation of the deck that I'm trying to make passable. So I was like, how do I make this sort of Jund grind tempo troll? And I put a bunch of cards I thought were cool into a deck, and then made a sideboard around the things that I thought people would be running, which was mostly I thought someone would be on tokens as like an aggressive strategy because I forgot just straight spell burn is a thing, especially with March. And I figured there'd be anarchists, and then I figured people would be trying to abuse the fact that they were on, they got to play because of their seating, so people would be way more aggressive. So I slanted the deck a little bit more towards being on the back foot, so trying to disrupt their early plays and then having stronger follow-up stuff to either burn them out if they were leveraging their life total, or stuff like Snowfield Mother to just plop down and be like, okay, cool. Now, you have 3 cards left in hand, and I just played a card that undoes your burn spell, undoes your removal spell, and also undoes one of your other removal spells. And then I recur.
Okay, makes sense.
All right, I'm going to duck out and start playing Monster Hunter since I just picked that up. But thanks for the games, and hopefully I'll get to play my 2 at some point in the future once CFT Sock gets back from China.
Yeah, that was some good games. I genuinely enjoyed trying to play correctly there.
Yeah, good games.
Yep, good games to you both, and congratulations, Fifth, and good luck later in the tournament. I
feel like so many of the thoughts behind all of that stuff, I didn't actually consciously think until you started making me ask questions about why I did these things. And I was like, it's probably why I did it, but it was mostly just me going, ooh, cards.
I feel that. I feel like I'm just like, this is like my deck building process is like, this is a good card. This is also a good card. Hold on, this is like, this thing is again a good card, and I end up with like a list of like 80 cards, and I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
Actual decks can only hold like some of these.
Ninjas was the first thing that I really put together that was trying to leverage like things as a game plan, and then now I'm slipping back into my comfort zone of things that are good in a vacuum and also work together sometimes when they need to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Jund can be way better, and that's what I'm going to work on right now. But it worked well enough, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, it won against, I think, what is arguably one of the strong decks in the meta right now. So that's definitely an argument for it being a contender. And hope you continue to prove that. I know that.
And I think
I remember you used to be like very heavily on green-black mid-range, and then we're lamenting that that type of mid-range wasn't as playable. Or like, I guess it wasn't as viable at that time in MSEM. So to see like what feels like the next evolution of that come back is really nice.
You're telling me. I am ecstatic that I get to play Snowfield Mother again.
And now it's actually snow because of the set rework.
Yes, I do like that.
It has absolutely no relevance to its constructed playability, but you know what? Just aesthetically, it's just for the aesthetic.
Yeah. I need to come up with a justification to myself to run 4 in the main board. I think that's the wrong decision, but I want to live in that world.
Yeah, it's a little bit too slow, but it's just if people start like. It's just like if people start like running super aggressive creature decks, that's where you go.
Super aggressive creature decks that aren't creature combo, which is a hard ask.
Mm-hmm.
I think Red Black Villainy can come back as a strategy. I think that's something that I want to do, but until I have a good reason to do that and a justification to run that into decks that will almost always have Guiding Light in the sideboard, I feel like, because Enchantress seems like a good strategy right now. I think I'll take the other side of this and just go like proper Jund with some aggression and some control and a good hearty chunk of range.
Yeah, I think the main thing that the deck, or like this is just a suggestion, but I think Banish, in somewhere in the 75 would be like a really good card because it's point and click, just delete target thing, and also and it has like the fun side advantage of like killing all copies of that card. So
I feel like 3 mana and at sorcery speed is just too much of an ask for something that doesn't hit walkers because it's only good against
walkers. It's target.
It does.
It's target walker or creature.
Oh yeah, it does. Huh. Alright, well, maybe we'll consider it then. But I was thinking it's a little too slow. When I thought it was just creatures, like it's too slow to really be super good against creature decks that aren't mid range, and it's not. It doesn't hit planeswalkers, so in control matchup, the slowness is offset, but it's not useful there. I could definitely see it in the sideboard, especially against like control decks that don't have a ton of win con. So I can just be like, okay, cool, you have one less type of win con. Do you have others?
Yeah, I was just thinking of it like, I guess it doesn't really apply here. Like the exile all other copies thing doesn't apply to like Performer or Ninhasir because they're both flip sides. But I think just having like,
oh yeah, and there's
point and shoot.
It's also an exile, which is super useful for because I keep on running into Phoenix. Where if Phoenix flips, I need to be able to kill them that turn or I lose because it's indestructible, and they usually have some other thing for the sacrifice effects.
Mm-hmm. Because of just like Rogue's tokens.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider, especially for Phoenix, because being able to answer one Phoenix, especially because once you flip Phoenix, you usually have the mana to play another actor and then flip it immediately and swing for another 6. So being able to get rid of all of them, so they can't top deck another 6.
To be fair, they are legendary, so like.
But like if I answer one, they usually have either the lands or the mana floating from Phoenix. Yeah, to play another and flip it if I deal with the first one still. Because like I've never seen a list that had less than 4.
Yeah, it's just such a good threat.
It's really good threat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like and this isn't like an issue, but I think like there's definitely like I feel like there's cards in MSEM which are played, but they're played because they have like some cool synergy, or like they're not actually good on their face, but then they have like there's like I guess like hidden benefits, and then there's cards which are just crazy bombs and like pushed as all hell for constructed, and like Performer is definitely the latter.
Yeah. I think it's good to have staples. And I like having things that you can be like, okay, this is the skeleton of my deck. Now what things can I play?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was playing enough red to be able to play Performer on my own.
I mean, it's not like you basically just need 2 red. Because it's 1 and a red to cast, and then 1 and a red to pump, so you need 2 red to flip.
That's a good point. I think I know what I'm replacing my Unmaskers with. And I think Villainy might go sideboard because it's definitely good, but
wait, just like a thought experiment. Not thought, but like a question. If you Mukeef Performer and then pump flip, does it still get exiled at the end of turn, or since it's a new object with the flip, does it?
No, it's not a new object with the flip. It's only a new object if you exile it and return it to the battlefield.
Oh, okay.
So like if it was a flip walker, that would work because Mukeef would say, okay, go to exile, and the flip walker would say, that's where I'm headed. You'd be like, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Carry along, and then it comes back right after it's part of the effect. But with this, because it doesn't leave the battlefield, it's still the same thing. Just like if you have a march and you flip it, it can attack because it's not a new object. It's been there the whole time.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's been nice talking to you. I'm gonna head off now.
Yeah.